Welcome to the All New Marvel Roundup, the Southgate Media Group guide to the Marvel Comics of the week. I am the getting over a cold Phil Parrish, and with me is
Charlie, yes, sir.
But yeah, like I said, I'm getting over a cold, so please excuse my voice. Hopefully it doesn't crack too much.
Please excuse my voice. I don't have a cold, but that's just the way I sound.
Alright, I will start us off. Nova number 2. Let's see.
That guy's a jerk.
Yeah, we'll get there. It opens up with Sam in bed. His father wakes him up, says, go downstairs, mom's making pancakes. So he's like, ooh, pancakes.
Yeah.
Tells his mom he's gonna go out with his friends, and she's like, well, your dad has to work today. Doesn't one of you have to be on duty as Nova? And he's like, no. He's like, it's fine. He's like, if this was a school day, I'd be at school anyway, and he'd be at work, so everything will be fine. So we go to the mine where Sam's dad works, and some kind of giant creature, I'm assuming alien, pops out of the ground.
They do that.
So yeah. So he texts Sam. He's like, need help. Bring my helmet. Bring your helmet. So Sam has to race home, leave his friends, race home, grab both helmets. And he flies in, and his dad's like, what took so long? And he's like, and as Sam tries to explain, he's like, forget about it. And he puts on his helmet. They both rocket after the creature. But it's one of those flame spitting creatures. It looks like a giant worm, kind of, but it spits flame. So of course Sam's dad, as you know, his helmet has been malfunctioning, so it hits him. He hits the ground, and as Sam goes to check on his dad gets up, but his face is kind of on sideways.
His face is on sideways?
Yeah, like his face is all like almost looks like it's pushed out of place, and he's like working to put his face back in place, and Sam's like, who are you? And he says, I will explain everything, but you have to go now.
He's an LMD.
So Sam tries to take down the creature, and he finally does by pulverizing a mountain and dropping it on the creature.
That'll work.
Yeah, and the issue ends with Sam going back to check on his quote-unquote dad, but he's gone. So last page is just him hovering in the sky going, where are you? Oh, but I'm gonna pique your interest for next issues, Charlie. Next issues, it says on the last page, Sam pays Miss Marvel and Spider-Man a visit.
Yay! He's still a jerk. No. We're out of Jersey City, buddy.
I don't know. I wasn't sure after the first issue, but I think this issue was a lot better than the first, so it gets a thumbs up for me.
Okay, very good.
All right, let's get into Totally Awesome Hulk number 1. And you said you did browse it in the store, correct?
I did browse in the store. I was very intrigued, but the price tag made me say, maybe next time, Amadeus, maybe next time. I did like the references to She-Hulk being 40. And I do like this idea that, although, for what it's worth, Amadeus was always a horn dog, so that's not like it's too much breaking character for him that his Hulk is also a horn dog. But yes, but you actually read this. So what did you think?
I liked it. You see him fighting a monster at the beach. Like you said, he's a horn dog. He was hitting on some woman while he was fighting the monster. But he must have tech some kind of clothing made out of some kind of tech, because it morphs when he turns into the Hulk, so he doesn't rip through his clothes.
Oh, that's better planning than the previous Hulk, at least.
Well, until he takes a hit and he loses all his clothes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. And then he takes off, and he meets his sister. Have they shown his sister before? I couldn't remember.
Yes. At the end of his last series,
Okay.
which was the spinoff of the Incredible Hercules that followed him. He found out that his sister had survived the accident that killed both of their parents. So, yes. She
Okay.
has been. I don't know if they actually showed her, but they did say that he knew she was alive. And so,
Okay.
um, yeah, so, yes, so great. So that's who that was. That's Little Cho.
Yeah, and they're talking about how they're tracking down monsters, and his sister tells him how reckless he is, and she's like, Banner lost control, and look where that got him, and that seemed to get Amadeus angry. He almost hulked out. He
Ah,
says, I'm not Banner. So I'm wondering if that was Amadeus who said that, or was that the Hulk?
yes. Well, they neither one of them wants to be Puny Banner. Although
But
interest, yeah. Sorry, I wonder
sorry,
if that's a reference to what has happened to the Hulk.
I don't know.
He lost control and see what happened to him.
Did you see the flashback? There's a flashback to 4 months ago on the Kenyan coast.
Mm-hmm. No, I missed that.
Iron Man and Black Panther were like evacuating people. I guess there was some kind of nuclear facility. They're saying it was an island, but it looks like an oil rig.
Mm-hmm.
And so Bruce Banner shows up, and then Iron Man's like, wait, we got to get everyone out. And the Hulk's like, and Banner goes, no, wait. He goes, if you didn't, and Iron Man goes, it's too much. And Banner changes, and he says, if you didn't want too much, he's like, you shouldn't have called the Hulk. So he leaps in, and for some reason, well, they say he starts absorbing the radiation, and then the Iron Man's like, oh, look, he's doing it. And Black Panther's like, no, look, this is a Kyber fusion reactor, which generates energies completely different from the gamma radiation that created the Hulk.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so it almost looks like the Hulk started to burn, then he just started like screaming.
Yee.
But that's the last we get. We don't see what else happens to Banner.
Mm.
But I guess Amadeus lies down. I don't know if he's dreaming or meditating, but he's kind of picturing himself in a green car, like a green Cadillac driving down the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden in the back, in the trunk, which is suspiciously taped shut, we see looks like the Hulk peeking out.
Mm.
But yeah, then the end of the issue is where we get the whole thing. He helps She-Hulk battle the more monsters and calls her 40.
And then he hits on the new supervillain.
Lady Hellbender.
Yes. Hmm. Interesting. We've got a bunch of new strange creatures. I wonder if these are spillovers from Battleworld.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, what'd she say? Yeah, Lady Hellbender says she's the monster queen of Seknarf 9.
Yeah, whatever the heck that is.
That's a planet? I don't know. But I thought it was a good start. I gave it a thumbs up.
Okay, yeah. It looks good, like I said. I mean, I would have gotten it if it was the $3.99 book, but it wasn't, so I didn't.
Maybe next issue.
Maybe next issue. Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Yeah, and I'll jump into my last non-Meaton book before you get to yours. Daredevil #1. I hate to cheat, but I'm gonna have 2 picks of the week again this week, and this is the first one.
Okay.
They do something kind of cool with the art. It's like, I don't know if the colors are muted. It's like Daredevil's all in like black and red, and everything else just seems to be like darker shades of like, I don't know, browns and grays. And so I didn't know if it was gonna be like a flashback or something, but they show him fishing a guy out of the river because there's a gang trying to kill him. And then as he's fighting the gang, Daredevil's new, I don't want to say sidekick, student shows up.
Oh boy.
What was that?
I said, oh boy.
Let's see. I forget his name. I'm looking for it here. But I guess he has a stealth suit or invisibility suit because to Daredevil's like, what took you so long? And he's like, I had to stop and buy batteries. Invisibility doesn't just happen. He's like, maybe your powers are free, but mine costs. Okay, it's Blind Spot. That's his name. Yeah.
Daredevil and Blind Spot. Oh boy, that is a sidekick name.
No. Yeah, but yeah, they don't give us anything on his origin. But he takes this. I guess the guy he saved was a witness in a case. He takes him back to I guess it's Foggy's apartment because Foggy was there. Foggy's like there in his bathroom and stuff because Foggy's like, what are you doing? And the big mystery, Charlie, I was telling you about. Foggy's like, no. He's like, you let me remember, but everyone else forgot to forget you were Daredevil. And how, Charlie? How did the world forget?
Well, like I said to you, I think he slayed his enemies, and all he desired was made his. I think that this is what we're looking at in the reveal. It's going to be that yes, that 1982 Beyonder came back and reclaimed his throne as the one, the only, the one true Beyonder. And for the kindness of finally ending the whole Secret Wars nonsense and finally vanquishing Doom. Thank you. Well, sort of anyway. He grants, I guess, Daredevil and Ms. Marvel and Spider-Man their heart's desires. Yay!
Well,
that's
just as long as it's on a deal with Mephisto like Spider-Man did.
Yeah, well, although Beyonder's more powerful than Mephisto.
No, but yeah. Then they show Matt at his new job in the district attorney's office. Guess where they put the blind guy, Charlie? Guess where his office is? In an old elevator shaft.
Well, he's not going to care.
No.
The lousy.
Then he's talking to that guy he saved as Daredevil because they want him to he wants him to testify against the new villain, Ten Fingers.
Wait a minute, that's a pretty
I know
villain name.
We'll get there, Charlie. We'll get there.
Unless it's like on each hand. I don't know.
Yeah. But he's like, yeah, the guy's like, 10 Fingers will kill me, and he was like, Matt says, he's like, well, I had Daredevil, I saved you, and the guy's like, no, you didn't do that, Daredevil did it, and he goes, because I asked him to. I was like, thinking, did Matt forget that people forgot his identity? But he says, yeah, I can ask Daredevil not to protect you anymore. Okay. So they go in the court, and then the issue ends in Chinatown, where another lackey is informing his boss, 10 Fingers, and we find out why they call him 10 Fingers, Charlie.
Why do they call him 10 Fingers?
He has 10 fingers on each hand.
Wah, wah. Okay. So how many thumbs?
I think it's still two. But...
Do the thumbs count as it? Or...
Oh wait, it might be 2 thumbs. I don't know.
Oh, so really he's 12 fingers. And...
it looks like 2 thumbs next to each other. Yeah, it's.
Oh, so he's got like he's got 2 thumbs and then 8.
Yeah, it's like thumb,
fingers
2
on each hand.
Pointer,
so
pointer,
8 fingers, 2 thumbs each hand. Or no, I don't know. Yeah, it's 20 fingers in total, and that's why they call them 10 fingers.
They're running out of superpowers to give out.
Yeah, that is like a tick villain superpower. I have 10 fingers.
No!
Listen to me, play the piano. Dilling, 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 dilling.
But yeah, like I said, the mystery of his identity, why is his secret identity back, is driving me crazy, but I liked it. It's one of my 2 picks of the week, so big thumbs up.
Big thumbs up. Well, good. Okay. Well, let's go from the man in the red pajamas to Red Wolf, number 1. So, I liked the book. It's a thumbs up. I was a little disappointed about how it ends, but let me get because it starts out with a really great little piece here where As you may recall from the end of 1872 Secret Wars, we found out that Timely had gotten all superpowery because of the actions of Banner um, well, most of the actions of Banner, where Banner's explosive nitro elixir winds up, creating some sort of a Hulk thing, which leaves a radioactive pool of water in a footprint, which a spider then drinks and then goes over to the Parker homestead, and things follow through. So we don't get any of that in this, though. We just open up on Brock and Sandy. I don't know who Sandy is. I'm guessing Brock is supposed to be Eddie Brock because he's wearing all black with a little white skull, bolo tie. And Brock's saying that Sandy stole his 2 cows, yada yada. And Red Wolf's trying to calm him down because he's the sheriff, and the guy says he's not my sheriff. He says, "Right, I'm not your sheriff. I'm the sheriff." And does this really great scene where he's like wrestling the cows and beating up the guys, and after that he goes and visits his mom in the woods, and he says, "Hey mom, you want me to go get you some food or something?" And she's like, "There'll be a time when you have to come take care of your mom who lives alone in the woods, but it's not yet, and I'm fine." Meanwhile, a guy rides up and says, "There was a murder in town, you got to solve it." And he comes back and there's 2 people. Let's see here, the Michaels homestead. I'm not sure who the Michaels were supposed to be, but they're all their ribs are poking out and their chests are all burnt up, and so very disturbing. And then we get to see that among the people in the town we have Weingarten and Mr. Summers, who sends his son Alex with the sheriff to see what kind of havoc he can stir up. Okay. So anyway, but we get our references here, and they come across a track from the killer, and he says, "I've never seen a track like this," and they pick it, and it's a modern boot. It's got treads and stuff like that, and they're like, "Well, what's all this about?" So they go and they go to see what it is, and Red Wolf finds what looks like a candy bar wrapper. And he knows this is not right because this stuff shouldn't be here, and he's going towards a mine. As you may recall, at the end of 1872, they said, "Now we can focus on that monster in the mine." Red Wolf comes along and he sees this wolf that's been killed similarly. Its little cub is trying to pull it away, and he realizes that the monster is probably coming for Alex Summers. He rides too late and sees that Alex has been killed by the monster. He takes Alex to his mom, hoping that she can maybe learn something about this, but now the posse has come. They accuse him of killing Alex. He says, "No, something else did." And he says, "I don't know what." And says, was it an Indian? Was it an Indian? And it's like, "No, I don't think it was an Indian." And then all of a sudden, this guy with a glowing green eye steps out. I think this might be Zarko, the Tomorrow Man, but I'm not sure. But he's got a glowing green eye. Well, he kind of looks the way they drew him. He's kind of big and bulky, and and he calls everyone primitives, and he says, "I ain't no Navajo, that's for sure. But what I got is some destiny manifest, and you unfortunate souls stand in the way. You shouldn't have come poking your noses into my business. On this." Oh, and he goes, "What's that?" He says, "Oh, this high impedance, short range ion synth. You primitives won't understand it. Just call it magic." And then starts shooting lightning bolts at everybody, and everyone is getting shocked and fading out of existence. And storyline. Red Wolf tries to get his mom away. Weingartner shoots at him and gets splorched for his troubles. Meanwhile, Red Wolf circles back around and leaps from behind him, slashes his wrist, and the guy goes, "Ah!" and says, "Neanderthal fool, you stand on riches and only see dirt. This town is the future site of a great convergence. You can't imagine the wealth that will come from it, for those who know how to draw it out, those with more evolved minds." And then Red Wolf throws his knife into the middle of the guy's chest, which, fizzes him out. The guy fires his thing. There's a big flash of blinding white light. And then Red Wolf wakes up on a street in the future. And two guys say, "Is that blood? Dude, he's been shot. Bro, I'm totally going to tweet this." And takes a picture of him with his cell phone. So two aspects of this. One, I was very excited about him coming to the future because it immediately reminded me of my favorite, what if stories of Conan, and when Conan the Barbarian, that Cimmerian fellow who's no longer part of Marvel canon, travels to the modern Marvel universe and sort of interacts with it for an issue or two, which really great what ifs from the late '80s. Highly recommend anyone go and pick them up if they're feeling it. The first was, what if Conan had traveled to the 20th century, then what if Conan had stayed in the 20th century? Both are really good. Especially what if Conan had stayed in the 20th century, where he actually sort of has to make a living in the world of superheroes and, gets into a big fight with Captain America and all that kind of awesome. But I am a little disappointed that at the end of the first issue, he's already in the modern world and we don't get more fun in Timely. Because I was really enjoying Timely. And I hope he gets back to Timely. I hope there's some kind of back and forth between the modern world and the Timely world. As it stands, it's a little, it's at once exciting but a little disappointing to have him out of Timely so quickly. And now on to what is my pick of the week. Yeah, definitely my pick of the week, which is Howard the Duck, #2.
Okay.
This is actually really beautiful because it's two stories. It's $4.99 book, but we do get two stories. It opens up with Gatherer DX13. I'm sorry, no, D3X. He's the Gatherer, and this is just after when Rocket and Howard the Duck escaped from the Collector's lair, which was. I believe in the first arc of this first series, and as you may recall, in that Howard and Rocket were both cloned, so that they would have a breeding pair that could pass on both not only their DNA but their oral histories, which is what the Collector wanted. But because Rocket and Howard escaped, they now have two female. A female Rocket and a female Howard, and nothing to do. So they have DX3, who was a gatherer, and he says, "I'm a gatherer, not a nurturer. Why can't they just be kept? Why can't they just keep being incubated?" And that's not how they're going to work. And so he has to raise, as they call her, Shocket and Linda. And they show them sort of growing up and dealing with, other beings in the menagerie, other cloned beings that are now breeding pairs of the last of their kind, and Linda and Shocket are a little sad because they don't have any others like them, and he realizes that they're going to basically put them into cold storage until they can find Rocket and Howard, so they can bring them back. And Linda and Shocket get scared because they're just two little kids, and this big lizard man punches Linda, which makes Shocket break free from her bonds, and then DX3 basically frees them and run and escapes to a ship so they can go on the run away from the Collector. 3 months later, they're on a planet called Soklon, where they're being pursued by gatherers. They make their escape and find themselves in a time machine, find themselves to a time machine where they pay 10,000 credits and go 25 years into the past, because 25 years in the past, the Collector's not looking for them yet. Pretty smart when you think about it. They run into the Silver Surfer, who is still a herald of Galactus. They basically talk their way out of it, and then for the next 20 years, they're traveling around living their lives, smuggling stuff. Linda has grown into a fine young female duck, as has Shocket, who has a nice sprig of pink hair. And they're trying to get paid for this job of smuggling these collectible Silver Surfer dolls, highly explosive Silver Surfer dolls, which comes in handy later. And during it, DX3 gets shot because this guy realizes that he was a gatherer of the collectors and stole his family when he was young, which is ironic because this is actually something he had just recently done, but now he's actually 25 years older. He gets shot, he dies, and Linda and Shocket, as in a scene we saw a few episodes ago, actually I think it was at the end of the annual, they go to the seer, who lets them know that they need a nexus of reality so they can get away from the collector. And as luck would have it, the collector is going to go and collect Florida to get Howard the Duck back, which is where we last left Howard and Tara, and where at the end of that episode, after defeating the Wizard and Titania, Shocket and Linda both showed up. So very good, very, very, very good story there. It was very sweet. Shocket and Linda's story growing up with DX3, who they call Dad, and very sweet. And now, the extra great part of it is Gwenpool. The Gwenpool backup story, which is fascinating in the way that Howard is interacting with this being, because of course she's being all metafictional and talking about what do you care? He says you're all just comic book characters in my world. Says Gwenpool, and he says so you're saying I'm definitely not dealing with a sane girl trying to kill me. He says, I wouldn't have to keep trying if you just stop running behind things. It's very witty, very funny. And she basically makes this point that, she needed to get a costume because she didn't want to be an extra. Because if you don't have a costume, you're just an extra in the stories. And so she goes to this costumer who makes superhero costumes. She gives her the Gwenpool costume and, makes it pink because no one else is using pink, and allows Ronnie to get rid of all this extra pink fabric she has. And they're basically, and I'm trying to find where he says it, because he says, let's see, I'm trying to, where was it? Because basically he says, it may be fictional to you, but it's real to me. And I just thought that was such a, there it is. He says, because basically what it is, she stole this super virus that the Black Cat was buying, and then because she didn't want Black Cat to have it, but then she went and sold it to Hydra, and she was like, what? And it says, what? That is pure evil. And she says, nah, it's fine. The Avengers will handle it, right? And Howard pulls out his cell phone, and it says, hello, you have reached the Avengers Emergency Hotline. We're sorry, but we are unable to assist you at this moment, as the Avengers are in space. To contact your local police department, please dial. And she goes, listen, do people come back from the dead around here? Yeah, sometimes. And the Avengers solve a lot of world-destroying problems. This I will admit. But you are acting like this is fictional. So please, let me assure you that it is all very real to me. I won't turn you into the Black Cat, okay? Just go away and let me take care of this. I gotta get the virus from Hydra, save the planet, and then I gotta give it back to Black Cat. Yep. Do that or she'll put me in jail. Then I guess hope she has the world's best interest at heart. Sigh, we're all doomed. And then Gwenpool says, listen, there is no reason fixing things can't be fun. Ducks can fly, right? And they cut to Howard in like this black ninja outfit as they stand over a Hydra heliport because, of course, branding. No, it was such a great mix of poignancy metafictional reality, and then, as I say with Howard, calling the reality to a guy like Deadpool, or in this case Gwenpool, which is that even if you want to say it's fictional, even if you're right, it's real to me because I exist within it, you know? And it was just it's just a great, powerful piece. And I tell you, man, between Howard and Squirrel Girl, just some of the best books coming out here right now on Marvel. But that is definitely my pick of the week. Honorable mention probably comes to some of the ones we shared, but that was my pick of the week. Okay, what else do you got there, Phil?
Well, my last two of my own were X-Men books. The first one is Extraordinary X-Men #3. It opens up in Manitoba, Canada.
Manitoba, yeah.
Old man Logan and young Jean, because he invites her in his trailer, and he's like, "How are you still alive?" And she's like, "I came from the past. It's complicated." She's like, "Why are you?" And he's like, "Old." He's like, "I came from the future. It's complicated.
It's wacky."
Yep. So
He's
then
from
they
the
go
past.
to X-Haven.
He's from the future. They fight crime. Sorry,
but
just pitching the shoot.
That's okay. But then they show X-Haven in Limbo, where the rest of the X-Men are trying to fight off a demon invasion. I guess Magic usually keeps like the magical shields up, but she's not there for some reason. So Storm's yelling at Forge to get I guess they have regular shields they've been working on. And back in Canada, Jean's trying to convince Logan that they need to rejoin the X-Men, and he's like, "No, I can't do it." And she's like, "Your younger self died, right?" And he's like, "That never happened to me, so I must come from a different future." And she was like, "Wow." She's like, "What? After what happened with Scott and the Terrigen Mist, this is what I was telling you about." And he goes, "Slim, what did he do now?" And Jean says, Scott is dead, Logan. He attacked the Inhumans. It was bad." So, yeah. So it's sounding like I told you. So the Inhumans killed him and not Doom.
Oh, does Old Man Logan say that, or?
No, Jean's telling Logan that Scott's dead. He attacked the Inhumans, yeah.
Okay.
But that's all she really says.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. But he's saying he can't come back, so he killed the X-Men. And Jean's like, "Well, let me see the rest." So she, mind scans them and sees everything. She's like, "Oh my god, your wife and children." And he's like, "Yeah, everyone I knew was gone." And she's like, "Well," and she keeps telling, trying to get him to come back, and he's like, "Yeah, even without Mysterio, I'm still destined to kill the X-Men." Back in Limbo, they're still repelling the invasion, and then back to Canada, and she's like, Jean's telling Logan, that's, basically that's crap, that you're destined to kill the X-Men, and he's like, "Well, it's just like," and she's like, "What?" He's like, "Well, just like you're destined to die." He's like, "No matter what," and she's like, telling him, "I don't believe in that." And she's like, "And the Wolverine I knew wasn't a coward hiding behind destiny and fate." And he's like, "Well, you're too young to know better." And she's like, "Don't give me that."
Okay, Marvel, no shipping. No shipping. Logan. No. Bad Marvel. Sorry, just had to get that in there.
That's
we got to do a lot of no shipping right now with Marvel.
Yeah, but she finally convinces him. She's like, "I can help you." Yeah, sorry. She goes, "I can help you. Let's go rejoin the X-Men." And he's like, "Well, how do we get there?" He's like, some reporters have been saying they went to space or something." And she's like, "No, they're not in space." And she has the device they gave her, to contact them. He says, "I could never say no to you, Genie, but I ain't wearing no damn costume." So back in Limbo, the X-Men are still fighting. Yeah, Storm goes down, but once again, she hears I guess, quote unquote, hears a voice in her head that says, "Get up," and she sees what looks like an image of Charles Xavier, who's telling her to get up and fight. So is she hallucinating? Is he there in some form? Who knows? So they get the call from Jean and Logan. So Storm tells Forge to send Cerebra out to pick them up. So they're standing there waiting. Cerebro picks them up and brings them back to Limbo. And Iceman's like, yeah, the cavalry's here. And Logan's like, demons. He's like, you gotta be kidding me. And Storm's like, if only, Logan. And the last page, the best page of the issue, is just old man Logan popping his claws. And he goes, I knew I never should have left Canada.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
How
and
true
from
that
the,
is, old man Logan. How true that is.
And from the image of the next issue's cover, it looks like Mr. Sinister is going to show up. But good issue, thumbs up. And
Mr. Sinister.
Yeah. But my last book on my own is All New X-Men #1. It opens up with our old friends who we talked about, what was it, last week? X-23, well, the All New Wolverine and Angel. They're skiing in Colorado, and I guess they're racing down the hill, so you see who can get there first. So, Wolverine's popping her claws and like trying to like cut down trees to get in Angel's way, and she's basically like falling down the mountain at some points. And he finally catches her and gets to the bottom. He was skiing until she started falling, then he like flew down and caught her. And she's like, no, I'm fine. She's like, I had the win. So as she's popping like all her joints back into place and stuff. And let's see.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. But then Angel gets a call from young Hank McCoy. He's in Florida with Evan, who is basically, he's the reincarnated Apocalypse who like doesn't remember his time as Apocalypse, so he's good.
That was Deadpool's buddy Evan.
Yeah. So Angel and Hank are talking. They're like, have you Hank asks Angel, he's like, have you seen Scott? And he's like, no. And Hank's like, I can't track him with this Cerebro I have because he looks like he hasn't fired an optic blast in months. And Angel says, yeah, well, maybe you should just let him have his time to himself. He's like, the other Cyclops died. He's like locking down the title World's Most Hated Mutant. Imagine what it must be like walking around with a younger version of that infamous face. So then they hang up. Then they show young Cyclops is in Chicago. He's eating at like some outdoor cafe or something. Some girl sits down, starts talking to him until evil mutants attack. And I guess there's some kind of cult of
mutant.
What? What's that?
Evil mutants.
Yeah, but I guess there's some kind of cult. There's some kind of Cyclops cult because they're wearing like old Cyclops' mask, with the X on the front of it. So Scott tries to take them down, but not with optic blasts. He just like tries to do hand to hand. They knock him down, but then they run when the cops show up. But one of them is stupid enough to drop their wallet, so Scott picks it up so he can track him down. And he's about to hook back up with the girl.
That was
what?
convenient.
Drop the wall. Yeah, but then he's about to hook it back up with the girl she starts talking about mutant trash and, hey moron, Cyclops was a monster. You're wearing a monster's face around, so that kind of kills the mood. And he walks away. Then in Texas, Beast and the kids hook up with Iceman. Then back in Chicago, Cyclops is tracking. I guess he tracked the mutants down. They must be students at, what college is this? Alger University. But he goes to check them on the computer, and remember, he's from the past. He's like, I just wanted the guy's dorm address. He's like, these computers. He's like, they've eaten privacy and social skills. He's like, it gave me everything. And I guess one of the cultist guys pops up in his mask and he says, "You want to internet creep on me? That's fine, but good God, do it from home like a normal person." And of course, the evil mutants attack Scott again. and they're knocking him around. And they say, we've beaten him to a pulp. He's barely squirming. We should stop, but it just feels too good to hurt this kid. And I guess Scott's going to take it until an old man tries to save him, and they go after the old man. And Scott pulls his glasses off and says, "You idiots want to know what Cyclops would do? Fine. This is what that bleep would do." And he blasts him with a big, huge optic blast. Which sets off Cerebro.
He does that.
Yeah. Cerebro. Yep. Cerebro gets set off, so Beast shows that he has one of the old Bamf creatures, that the miniature versions of Nightcrawler, so that must be how they're transporting around. Back in Chicago, the cultists are like, "Cyclops? I thought Cyclops is dead." And Scott says, "Cyclops is dead. I'm Scott Summers," as he passes out. And they're like, Scott Summers is Cyclops, right? And they're like, "He's out cold. What should we do? Pick him up. Pick him up. We're taking him with us." And then, but as they're about to leave, the X-Men show up on the last page and say, "Yeah, I don't see that ending particularly well for you." So, very good issue.
So who was the old man trying to save Scott? Do we know?
No, it was just some old black guy. I don't know if he was like the librarian or the custodian or it just looked like it was some bystander.
Okay. Well,
but it was a good issue. Good issue. Thumbs up.
Yeah. Probably guy's probably dead now because Scott probably blasted him with the other big optic last time. So because he doesn't really have control over it when he doesn't have his visor on. So
yeah.
But
they're all different.
Okay. So
all new, all different Avengers #2.
Okay. All new, all different Avengers. All Avengers. Okay. #2. So I really like this book. Primarily because it takes place in Jersey City, which is where I work. So, I was like, "Oh, I know that place," and it was actually like really cool because it's like when they so just to tell everyone what's going on. So it opens up with from Sam Wilson Cap's point of view. He's opening his eyes and he sees Ultimate Spider-Man there, Miles. Who's like bandaging him up with webbing, and says, I don't move. I webbed over your wounds, but they're gonna need some treatment. That's what I could do for you, but I don't even know where to start with Iron Man. And then in comes the Vision, and he sort of hacks Tony's armor and disassembles it. And meanwhile, the new owner of the building shows up to explain that Mr. Griffin, which got me wondering who's this guy is. And Stark makes the point that he sold him the old tower. Although this is kind of confusing to me because when he orders the new armor, it's coming out of a Stark tower. So I don't know. I guess that's maybe a different Stark tower than this Stark tower. Is that what we're supposed to take from that? He's got like more than one Stark tower in New York, or is that supposed to be Stark tower in LA? I don't know. Anyway, well, Tony's waiting for his armor to show. Nova is on the way because he got a paging class, and made me wonder like why this guy doesn't keep his helmet more handy, I guess. Having to run out to get it. But he's there and he realizes that this guy's in Jersey City and he doesn't want to go there because of course that's her turf. And there's Ms. Marvel ready to defend her city, the Liberty Science Center, just a few blocks from where I work. And she says, "Okay, looks like you've got whatever you came for. Let's move this next part to a nice deserted lot somewhere so we don't destroy this beautiful smash," as Nova smashes through the window building. And, and basically what we get here is just Nova is all bish and bang, really isn't paying attention to the collateral damage he's causing in Ms. Marvel's neighborhood. And, this guy's a real jerk. So, and again, no shipping, Marvel. I'm watching you. I'm watching Ms. Marvel and Nova. I'm watching young time-traveling Jean Grey and time-traveling Wolverine. Don't you be shipping these people. There's certain things that are not appropriate. You can ship Thor and Cap. I'm all down with that. But you leave my Ms. Marvel alone. You don't tire to this jerky guy from Arizona of all places. Anyway, so Nova basically destroys the building to, in his say, no, I put out the fire. And he's like, people live here, which was a great little thing. She says, you're a jerk, and points at him with a gigantic, embiggened hand. And makes the point, people lived in this building. Yeah, you stopped the fire, but, in the most, destructive way possible. And this actually reminds me of a great little piece with Amadeus Cho back in the aftermath of World War Hulk, when he was saying about how, hey, the Hulk didn't kill anybody. He's like, yeah, but everybody's home is destroyed, and every little bit of money they had tucked away is destroyed, and there's a lot of things you can't get back when you destroy someone's home. You lose their photos and their the things that made their house a home. You can rebuild the house, you can't rebuild the memories. And it just really and I love any time that superheroes get called out on all their collateral damage. But anyway, so our heroes assemble to do battle with Warbringer in the Grove Street Path station. Yay! That's where I get my coffee every morning. Very nice little coffee shop. They just started carrying the 24-ounce paper cups for me, which is why I'm their loyal customer now, because I drink big coffees. So they're fighting Warbringer. Thor shows up. Battle. At some point, I believe Spider-Man says, people who are not the Avengers assemble, because they make a point how they're not really the Avengers. And Griffin does some kind of magic-y thing with Thor's hammer to allow Warbringer to escape. Oh, my shorts. And I have a hard time. Oh, I see. Oh, that's the Hudson River coming in through the path tunnel. I'm guessing that's what that's supposed to be. Where the water, where that big blue is as it's coming up. I'm guessing that is supposed to be the Hudson River coming through. And then they tell you where you can find all of our great heroes next. Invincible Iron Man 4, Sam Wilson, Captain America number 4, Mighty Thor 2, Nova 2, Ms. Marvel 2, The Vision 2. And come back in a month for All New Avengers, all different, All Avengers 3. Thumbs up for the book. Not just because it took place in my neighborhood, but because it was actually a pretty good book. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was it was a big thumbs up, even though they didn't put Charlie&rsquo in this issue.
Yeah, well, No. You have to understand it. In the Marvel universe, I'm a much more powerful being. I wouldn't be. I'm always manipulating things from the shadows. No, but it was a very cool issue, and I'm really loving their characterization on everybody. I really like the way that they portray Miles and the way that they're portraying Tony, and he has just the right amount of arrogance for Tony, and and of course, always love Kamala. So it is in general really good, and I hope to see a lot more of everybody interacting in the coming issues, because I really like this team. I really like I think the all different Avengers are really kind of the best Avengers so far. I have to say.
Yeah.
Even if they don't have a metafictional member.
Huh?
Yes. Although maybe Howard shows up next week. I don't know. So yeah. So what do you want to do next?
Well, you want to do it in numerical order? Go from all new, all different Avengers number 2 to Doctor Strange number 3.
Sure. Let's do Doctor Strange number 3. Where Doctor Strange wakes up naked in Central Park. Oh, how often has that happened to any of us? Of course, he's not really naked. It's just his astral form. which is naked.
I thought you were about to say I woke up naked in that park one time.
Well, I didn't wake up. I was, I've never actually been naked in New York. No, I've never been naked in New York that I know of. I have passed out in New York, but never. That was in my younger days. Yes, but no. New York's a very lovely little town and filled with magic, which these little slugs are devouring. And and by the way, I have to say I just love the way the art is in this book, and I love the way they use color, and ink in such a fantastic way to really make you feel magic. This is really a very magical book, and I'm loving it. I think it's a little weird that he reaches inside the slug to pull out the axe, but hey, at least now we know where the axe comes from. It is not Thor's axe, as people had postulated. It is. Hey, I know that axe. What do you call it? The axe of Angaramum. Angaramum. Very ancient, very powerful. I found it in a witch's crypt in the center of the moon. It hums with magic. And I like that, in among other things, in the belly of the slug there is a lamp, and at least I think that's supposed to be a lamp, or maybe it's supposed to be a trident. Looks like a bubble, and the A113 license plate from Pixar. Yeah. So he gets his magical axe and, knocks the slugs around and basically causes this sonic magical boom that causes everybody in Lower Manhattan to throw up and attracts all the slugs to him. And then he goes back to the Sanctum Sanctorum, which he has to sort of break into, which is very painful. But he gets back to his body, and then they defeat the slugs because he doesn't want to kill the slugs because they're just, harmless little slugs. And he goes to this place, which is the magical Palm Springs, and finds it completely devoid of magic. And I love, again, how they convey this with the color, with the art. It's such a powerful set of images that you get, especially when you see it as the magical place, and now it is just this burnt out husk of a landscape. And this leads us to the Empiricum, discussing that they have found this Doctor Strange, and the big baddie who we have here praise the Imperator, the Imperator must be told, the Imperator. And he's got laser eyes, and that's never good, And so I'm very excited about this book, as I have been. This is the second issue in, and it's still pretty dang good. And next issue, apparently, we go back to the bar with no doors, and we've got Shaman and Scarlet Witch and Brother Voodoo, Dr. Voodoo, sorry, who seems to be the only one aware of all the monsters around them. So look forward to next issue. Thumbs up for me. How about you, Phil?
Yeah, thumbs up for me. I really like this issue. I like that one splash page when he's crashing through the skylight of the house and he says, "Some days it sucks to be strange."
Yes. Just like his old grandmother used to say. Your old Granny Strange. Now there's a character I want to see more of. Granny Strange. Yes. No, it is such a great visual book. I mean, like I said, the vibrancy of it, it really brings home what you can tell with the story. I like on the cover they gave him socks and underwear. Instead of having to actually be naked on the cover, but very cute, very cute. And let's face it, Tiger, we hit the jackpot. Next issue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say our final issue, right?
Yeah. Yep. Invincible Iron Man number 4 with biotech robo ninjas. And what do we say? Moonlight ninja fight Beach Party Go.
No.
In which we find out that there is a samurai version of the new armor. Why it takes on a samurai shape just to give him a sword, we don't know. But I guess, hey, if you're going to do it with a flare.
It's Tony.
It's Tony. It's Tony. He wants to be your friend. I do like the samurai armor, though. I want to see more of it. I love his dialogue with Friday. Friday seems like a fun character, and then we get the ninjas all self-destruct, which is not cool, but hey, they're ninjas, and get a nice little recap of Doctor Strange and Whitney Frost, and now not quite so evil Doctor Doom, although maybe just as evil as always. We're going to have to see. And then he remembers he has an appointment, and then he gets into an argument with a hologram of himself. Listen, Tony, this is Tony from 3 days ago. We're not canceling on the sick kids. You already bumped them 3 times for Avengers saving the world related emergencies. But I don't care if Whiplash, Blackout, and Paladin magically fuse into one decent criminal adversary, or you are not canceling on these kids. I don't care if Thanos is marrying Pepper in Times Square and Justin Hammer is giving the bride away. You do not cancel. I don't care if the Scarlet Witch says no more Tonys and okay. And he shows up. And we get to meet Iron Max, who's an actual human kid. And Tony gives him an adjusted, maxed out little Hulkbuster armor, which is very cute. And who walks in but Doctor Doom, eating potato chips, which you would never think Doctor Doom would eat potato chip, but apparently he's all cool now. He's chill. I'm Doctor Doom. I'm chill. Yeah, and that's definitely a scar on his cheek. Yeah. So he definitely has his first scar back. Which, of course, as I said, is the curse placed upon him by the living tribunal, that he shall have one scar for every that will never heal for every time he hurts another human being. So far, his face is looking good, although who knows, maybe his whole body's scars underneath. But then we go and we see Mary Jane opening her new club, Jackpot, in Chicago. No, we're in Chicago. I didn't realize that. Somehow I thought we were in LA. But she's Chicago, her new favorite city, because no superheroes and supervillains, right? Well, as luck would have it, Whitney Frost decides to meet some mobster gentleman by the name of Behilio. I don't know who he is, but she goes kazaps him in her club, and then Iron Man and Doctor Doom show up, and Mary Jane just says, "Why?" For goodness sake. Big thumbs up for this book, as always. And man, look at that preview cover for next month. Doom. Dun dun dun. What's Doom up to? I don't know, but didn't trust that fella, I'll tell you that much. Yeah. No, thumbs up. What did you think?
Yeah, big thumbs up. This is my other pick of the week.
Yeah. Well, it was a good one. It was a very good one. Iron Max story and everything. It was very good.
Yeah, I love that real world tie-in, because I read the article his dad wrote about it. Max was a sick kid, and Bendis said he put him in the book, and he's like, I just thought, Max would be in one panel with Iron Man flying by or something, but he was in the armor.
Yeah, no, well, you're gonna put a kid in a book. You gotta let that kid be in the book. That's pretty awesome, man. And
I love when Max tells Tony, he's like, I can't fit in that armor, I'm too short. He's like, oh yeah, I noticed how short you are. He's like, Max is like, I'm an 8, and Tony says, don't tell me your troubles.
Yeah, it's very cute. It was a very cute scene, and very very well written. I'm really liking Invincible Iron Man. I'm glad I dropped Spider-Man for Iron Man. I'll tell you what. Because you suck, Spider-Man. Bring back Otto. Thank you. So, that's our books this week, Phil.
Yeah. I think, was this another long podcast?
It was about an hour, which is usually what we run, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a little over. But then again, we did some breaks there, so who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, then, let's get out of here. Share your thoughts with us. Tell us what you think of our reviews. Is there anything we aren't reviewing, we should be reviewing? And remember, keep those ideas coming in for the big Marvel vs. DC crossover with Charlie vs. Lilith.
Yes.
Yeah. You can email us marvelroundup@gmail.com. On Facebook, we're All New Marvel Roundup. And on Twitter, we're @Marvel_Roundup. You can talk to me anything Marvel or DC, nightwingpdp@gmail.com, and on Twitter, I'm @nightwingpdp. And Charlie?
And you can always find me @CharlieEsser on Twitter, CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. And you can always write me on superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. And, of course, listen to me in Superconnectivity with the great Phil Parrish as well. Listen to me and Lilith talk the Marvel vs. DC coming Battle Royale in January. And coming soon, listen for the Gamma Cast with me and David White discussing the 1980s Incredible Hulk television series, which I hold is the start of the MCU.
Do 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 do. Wish I had that song on me. Okay.
It's a great song, man.
I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be great. We had a great first get to know each other, discuss the podcast, and then the next time we're talking the show, episode 1, pilot part 1.
Ooh.
Where Dr. David Beck tries to tap into the that all humans have. When accidental overdose of gamma radiation does something. So listen for that, kids.
All right. You heard the man. Come back next week and keep an eye out for those other podcasts. But until then, remember, you wouldn't want to make Charlie Esser angry. And Iron Max is my new hero. Good night.